"If you can't take care of my sister, we're getting a divorce." It's been 2 months since my sister-in-law, Mary, returned from overseas and started living at our house. I felt like she was taking advantage of me every day, and the stress was becoming too much. I decided to talk to my husband about it to see if we could fix the situation, but he got really angry and said he wanted a divorce. I argued that this was a drastic decision, but he wouldn't listen to me. "Let's discuss what we should do next," I said. "There's nothing to discuss. My sister can stay here as long as she wants," he replied. I felt more and more frustrated as he said this, and I couldn't take it anymore. This led to a big fight. Mary saw what was happening, and instead of helping, she just smiled, as if she enjoyed it. It was clear that she was the cause of our problems. I didn't understand what Mary was thinking. 2 months ago, she had returned from abroad after getting divorced and losing custody of her kids. She was heartbroken and decided to live in a hotel instead of going back to her parents, who would ask too many questions. Soon after, she started visiting our home, claiming she was lonely. One day, after a week of her visiting, I came home from work, and my husband stopped me from going into my own room. "Hold on, don't just go in there," he said. "I can't have my sister living in a hotel forever, so I let her use this room." He decided that Mary could stay in my room without even talking to me about it first. All my things were still in there. "This is a problem. You should have discussed it with me first," I said. "Why are you being so selfish? Just let her make herself at home. She's been through a lot, losing her marriage and her kids," he replied. His words made me feel guilty, as if I was the one in the wrong. I stayed quiet, unsure of what to say. He then told me to always knock before entering my room. After that, Mary started treating my room like it was hers and began acting like I was her maid. "You came home late. I'm hungry, so hurry up and make me dinner," she demanded. I had already prepped a meal, so I told her it would be ready soon. "I'll be playing a game in my room, so call me when it's ready," she said. When I knocked on her door to let her know dinner was ready, she came out and frowned at the food. "I don't like pasta. I can't eat this. Make me a steak with sides," she said. "I don't have the ingredients for that, and it will take too long to make." "Then just order takeout," she replied. "I've already cooked pasta for 3, please just eat that for today." "No way, order takeout now." I felt stuck. My husband insisted that I should just go along with Mary, but I didn't know what to do. If I shared my feelings, he told me to think about Mary's feelings, which made it hard for me to respond. Mary, knowing her brother was on her side, started waking me up in the middle of the night. "I want ice cream, go buy it now." "What time is it?" "It's 2 a.m., I said. "The convenience store at the gas station should be open. Come on, get up," she insisted. I was just about to fall asleep. I have work tomorrow, so I needed a break. Whenever I said no to Mary, she would run to my husband and tell on me. This meant I got scolded and had to go get ice cream in the middle of the night. Mary never helped with cleaning up after meals or any chores around the house. Instead, she demanded that I clean her room every day. Just to be clear, her room was actually my room, which she had taken over. Her requests kept getting worse, and now she was asking me for money. "Sorry, that's not possible. If you need money, ask your brother," I told her. "I can't believe you're refusing. I'm going to tell my brother again. Are you okay with that?" she said. I had been following her orders because I felt sorry for her situation, but I knew that if I gave her money now, she would just keep asking for more in the future. So, for the first time, I stood my ground and refused to let her boss me around. When my husband got home from work, Mary cried and told him I had upset her. "Catherine, why did you make my sister cry?" he asked. "I didn't make her cry, I just said no when she asked for money. She doesn't do any chores and treats me like a maid. I'm emotionally exhausted. It's been over 2 months since she moved in. Can't you do something about it?" He shouted back, "Shut up. If you can't take care of my sister, we're getting a divorce." My husband was furious and insisted on a divorce. I argued that this was too extreme, but he wouldn't listen. I suggested we have a proper discussion about what to do next, but he said there was nothing to discuss. His sister would stay in our house as long as she wanted. I felt my frustration grow as he casually said this. I couldn't handle it any longer, and our argument escalated. Mary watched us and didn't try to help. Instead, she smirked, clearly pleased with the chaos she had caused. I had no idea what Mary was thinking when she said, "I'm going to make you regret this." My name is Catherine, and I'm 27 years old. Right now, I feel like I'm being manipulated by my sister-in-law. My parents divorced when I was young because of my dad's cheating. After that, my mom raised me alone, but she passed away from breast cancer when I was 19. Since then, I've had friends, but the loneliness of not having family has always been there. I've kept that loneliness hidden. During that time, I met my husband, Bob. After being together for a year, we got married 3 years ago. The excitement of our early days has faded, but I have been thankful for the family I gained. However, recently, Bob lost his interest in work, quit his job, and now only works part-time 3 days a week. This added to my worries, especially with Mary entering our lives. When Bob and I got married, Mary was living abroad and was already pregnant with her first child, so she couldn't attend our wedding. We never got to meet because we lived so far apart. I had always heard from my mother-in-law that Mary was kind and considerate, so I never expected her to be so selfish. Her behavior left me confused and frustrated. The day after our big argument, I came home from work, and Mary was grinning, holding a handful of cash. The amount seemed way too big to have come from Bob. "Mary, where did you get all that money?" I asked. "I sold some bags and jewelry I found in the bedroom," she said. "Wait, you mean my room? Where else would they be?" She laughed. I rushed into my room and checked my closet, but my mother's heirloom bags and jewelry were gone. "Why did you sell my things?" I demanded. "Because you wouldn't give me any allowance," she replied nonchalantly. "Those were family heirlooms." "Good, you didn't need them anymore," she said with a smirk. "That's not the point. Where did you sell them? Tell me now." "Chill out. I sold them at this place called Super Thrift Shop, but good luck getting them back." I quickly headed to the thrift shop to buy back my things. Since she had just sold them, I thought I could still get them back. When I arrived, I learned some shocking news. They had a rule that only the person who sold the items could buy them back unless there was proof that they were stolen. Without evidence, I was stuck and could do nothing. I knew about the thrift shop's rules, but I was so upset that I forgot about them. As I walked home, I felt a strong desire for revenge against my sister-in-law. I decided I would get to the bottom of this, starting by cleaning my room. Another week passed, and I was still at the mercy of my demanding sister-in-law, putting up with my husband's anger along the way. Finally, it felt like the moment for a showdown had come. Like any other day, Mary treated me like a maid, and my patience was wearing thin. As evening approached, I ended up arguing with Bob. "I can't keep living like this. If you don't treat my sister better," I started. "Are you threatening me with divorce again?" he interrupted. "If you don't change your attitude toward Mary, I might have to," I said. Lately, it felt like Bob thought that bringing up divorce would make me stay quiet and obey him. He always looked down on me with arrogance, while Mary stood next to him, laughing. Then, the doorbell rang. I opened the door and found my mother-in-law standing there. "Long time no see, Catherine. Can I come in?" she asked. "I'm happy you came. Please come in," I replied. "Mom, why are you here?" I asked, noticing that Bob's expression darkened when he saw her. Mary didn't look happy either. She didn't even smile at the visit. I was confused about why she wasn't excited to see her own mother. "Oh, I didn't know you had a friend over," my mother-in-law said when she saw Mary. "What are you talking about? She's your daughter, isn't she?" I replied. "Oh, stop joking. Mary just had her second child. She even sent me some photos recently," my mother-in-law said, pulling out her phone. She showed me a picture of the real Mary, who was still happily married overseas. The woman in the photo looked completely different from the person claiming to be Mary standing in front of us. As the woman tried to leave the living room, my mother-in-law firmly stopped her. "Who are you?" she demanded. "Well, I am a friend," the woman stammered. "Yeah, she's my friend," Mary quickly added, but it was clear they were both panicking. That's when I revealed her true identity. "So you aren't Mary after all. I always thought it was odd. You must be Bob's mistress." "What are you talking about? Don't spout nonsense," she shouted. I couldn't let Bob deceive us any longer. I immediately showed my mother-in-law a video on my laptop that captured him and the woman getting cozy in our living room. Bob tried to grab the laptop from his mother to stop her from seeing it, but I stopped him. "What is this?" my mother-in-law asked, looking shocked. "You better have a good explanation," she warned. Bob hesitated, so I stepped in to explain everything. "This woman, who claims to be Mary, has been staying at our house for over 2 months. Bob let her live here out of pity because she went through a divorce and lost custody of her child. On top of that, She sold my mother's heirlooms at a thrift shop without my permission. The video showed this woman happily talking about how she made money selling my mother's heirlooms. She even suggested to Bob that they should go out and have fun with the money. How could she do something so awful? My mother-in-law said, looking furious. What happened to the heirlooms? She asked. They can only return them to the person who sold them, so they are currently at the thrift shop, I replied. Then, I turned to the woman, who looked very uncomfortable. You are Megan Foster, aren't you? No, you're wrong. Don't make baseless accusations. Do you have any evidence? She said defensively. It's pointless to pretend you're innocent. You may not know, but I'm the manager of the super thrift shop, I said. Huh? I didn't see you there, she stammered. I wasn't at the shop when the heirlooms were sold because I was at a meeting at headquarters. As the manager, I can verify the ID of the person who sold the items, I explained. I realized that the woman was not my sister-in-law, but I didn't have enough proof. I worried she might come up with excuses, so I made a plan. My mother-in-law had been wanting to see a performance by her favorite artist, so I decided to buy tickets for her. The plan was to invite her to pick up the tickets and stay the night so she wouldn't have to travel back home right after. She was thrilled, and that's how we ended up in this situation. I'm sorry for making you come here without telling you the truth, I said. That's all right. I understand it's not easy for you to talk about this. By the way, how did you manage to capture the footage? My mother-in-law asked. I didn't want my belongings to be sold without my permission again, so I installed hidden cameras that look like light bulbs in my room. While cleaning, I had a feeling she might be having an affair, but I never expected anything like this, I explained. Sure enough, the footage showed the two of them getting intimate when I wasn't home. It was shocking to see. Bob and I had been arguing a lot, and I had started to think it might be time to end things, but it's still tough to see your husband cheating. Catherine, I was just being manipulated by this woman, Bob exclaimed. How pathetic of you to say that. Lying about her being your sister and letting her stay in our house? What were you thinking? I yelled at Bob. Don't blame this on me. I only pretended to be your sister because if we got caught having an affair, I would be kicked out with nowhere to go. You told me it would be convenient for me to use your wife as a housemaid. You even said if you got divorced because of marital issues, you wouldn't have to pay alimony. I was taken aback and filled with rage upon hearing this. Now that your relationship has fallen apart, it's impossible to fix things between you two. Why don't you just get a divorce? You and I can be happy together, right, Bob? You've always wanted to divorce me, so let's part ways. I handed Bob the divorce papers I had already filled out with my name. He started to panic. Don't rush things. I don't want to leave you, just let this slide. Seeing Bob begging on his knees was pathetic. His mistress, looking teary-eyed, said, You won't abandon me, will you? I have nowhere else to go if you kick me out of here. Shut up, don't come near me, Bob shouted as he brushed her off. Her desperate pleas were uncomfortable for me to watch. Instead of focusing on Bob, I conveyed something important. You don't have to worry about where to go. Huh? What do you mean? I reported you to the police earlier for stealing and selling my belongings. They should be arriving any minute. As the sound of police sirens grew louder, the woman realized the situation. I'm really sorry. I've learned my lesson. I won't do it again. If apologizing was all it took, then we wouldn't need the police, would we? I said, presenting her to the police as the one who stole my belongings. She was soon taken away. Bob, staring blankly at the scene, began to beg again. Don't leave me. Your salary is higher than mine. If you abandon me, I won't survive. You understand that, right? You don't have to live a lavish lifestyle. Besides, you need to work more than just 3 days a week. You'll have to work more to pay me alimony. I'll pay the alimony, but can't we find a way to avoid a divorce? No chance. My mind is made up. Sign the divorce papers now. With my mother-in-law urging him, Bob reluctantly signed the divorce papers. Hey, about the alimony, can you deduct it from our division of assets? He asked. There are no assets we built together. My savings are from before we got married, so they're not for us to split. I've been covering most of our living expenses since we got married, so I'm in the red. Bob turned pale upon hearing this, but my mother-in-law and I ignored him and kicked him out of the house. After getting rid of the villain, a sense of sadness lingered that evening. My mother-in-law and I sat together, sharing drinks and having a heartfelt conversation. I got back my mother's heirloom bags and jewelry with enough proof that they had been stolen. My divorce from Bob was finalized quickly. I demanded $20,000 each in alimony from Bob and his mistress. Bob was disowned by his in-laws and broke up with his mistress, who had been released from jail. They constantly argued after that. My mother-in-law, worried about me being alone, reached out to me regularly. Through this experience, our bond grew stronger than ever. Fast forward 3 years, and I stood in a chapel wearing a wedding dress. I held the hand of the man who had eagerly waited for me to walk down the aisle, as we vowed to love each other forever. I felt tears of happiness rolling down my cheeks.